What's going on, everybody? This is the Sideline 2 Sideline Show. I'm your host, The Kid,
This is
and I got with me
this is
the
vir-
producer extraordinaire.
I don't know about all that, but this is virtual football. How everybody doing?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
And just another day, man. Just looking at the world of sports, looking at everything going down between the sports world and as far as sports, video games, and all these topics that we're going across, man. It's just
Hey,
waiting for
look.
another week and waiting for another week of football, man. So what about you?
Oh man, listen. I've been having a good week, man. I've seen some things going on in just regular life. These milks is out here in full force. So,
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you put that out there on Twitter. And I think I didn't see that.
hey, man, listen. This lady looked like Fox. This lady looked like Miss Parker from Friday. I needed that in my life. But let's get into these stories, man.
Yeah, man. Cause we can go. We can. That's a whole different podcast right there.
Yeah. So let's start out with these Lions and their injury plague issues.
Oh man.
Nate Burleson breaks his arm in a car accident while trying to adjust a pizza box from falling off his seat.
On the way to practice.
Yes, exactly. On the way to practice. You talk about the bad luck. He's gonna be He's not even gonna be placed on injury reserve, which is more interesting. And with this really hurts the Lions because Nate Burleson matched his totals from last season in 3 games this season. Last year, he had 27 receptions for 240 yards and 2 TDs. This year, he has 19 receptions for 239 yards. He don't have any TDs yet, but those TDs were going to come. It's hard to not top 2.
Right.
Also, Reggie Bush is still going through injury issues.
Yeah, he said he's still having a knee issue, and
Yeah.
he was real prominent for the Dolphins last year, actually learning how to run between the tackles and everything. So we all thought with him coming out of USC, we didn't think that he was going to be that good running between the tackles, but he stepped up and he was able to. So with all that speed, and also he can catch out the backfield. So everybody thought that he was going to be, pretty much the focal point on the opposite end with Calvin Johnson. So, but with him being out with that knee injury, he didn't practice. He didn't practice Wednesday, or he didn't practice on Thursday either. So it's going to be real questionable if him or Nate Burleson is going to be actually playing. And you also have other injuries as well. You had the first round
Ezekiel
pick.
Enza.
Yeah, the first round pick Ezekiel Anza. He's out with an abdomen injury. You also have Calvin Johnson. He didn't practice on Wednesday, but he practiced on Thursday. He had a light practice on Thursday, so he may come back. But I mean, I don't think he missed the game last week anyway. But I think he will play because he's just that important to the team. Well,
Yeah, I think he's going to come back.
Yeah.
I don't see him missing the game unless it's very significant. You don't really hear about Calvin Johnson getting injured and taking a lot of games off. I think the Ezekiel Anza one is a little bit more, important because, that defensive line is where they built their whole team, their defensive side of the ball at. That defensive line starts that sets the tone for everything on defense for that team.
Right. And I agree. Especially with, it all started when they picked up Ndamukong Suh in that draft. Then they turned around and picked up Nick Fairley. Now
The highway robbery that was Nick Fairley's draft.
Tell me about it. And then they turn around and get Ezekiel Anza, and they have a prominent front four. So I mean, I don't know what to make of this team at this point because they have so many things going on, but it will be interesting to see. I think they're in a world of trouble as they play against the Chicago Bears this week. I mean, the Bears are just on fire this year. So far, so good. They're doing a lot better than I thought they would.
See, but you know what? This Reggie Bush issue might not be as a big deal as people think it is because their backup running back, what was his name again? Jerkeek Bell, I believe his name.
Yeah, you talking about last name Bell. He played for out of University of Cal. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he did pretty good last week. He didn't have a great average, but he kept that offense to where they wanted it to be because they like to throw the ball out the backfield a lot.
Okay, yeah.
So he was able to catch a lot of passes out the backfield. He did great for my fantasy team, by the way. And and it doesn't seem like they're going to lose too much by having Reggie Bush out because Reggie Bush's injury is going to be a nagging injury all season. Because that's how it's going to be with his knee. Because it's not the first time he had knee issues. Because he had microfracture surgery on that knee.
Well, that is true. You're right about that. So we'll like I said, we'll just see how it plays out. But I don't know. It's still a question mark because the team it has so much talent around it, and when healthy, they could be at least number 2 in that division because the Packers are pretty much on top of the game. Even though they're struggling right now, I still take them over the other teams. But this Chicago Bears team might give the Packers a run overall. So
they might. They beat up on the Steelers last week, and anything that happens to the Steelers is good with me. But let's get into this next story. We have some more fan ratchetness.
Yeah, I mean, it just don't stop out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, fan ratchetness. Violence at Candlestick Park. A teenage football fan suffered a concussion and a broken arm and a broken nose after he was attacked during the 27-7 loss the Niners suffered at the hands of the Indianapolis Colts. The 29-year-old man was arrested of suspicion of beating up the 15-year-old boy for urinating on a man's car. I should say in a man's car.
So, I mean, we discussed this earlier, so I'm trying to figure out, did he just was the window down and he, urinated in the car, or was he in the car driving with the guy and he couldn't hold it much longer? I know he didn't just look at an open window and say, "Hey, look, that looks like a toilet."
Yeah, right.
So I'm trying to figure out. I don't understand the whole gist of this story, but it's funny if you ask me.
I tried to do some research on the story because I was like, well, why in the hell would he just pee in a man's car? I don't understand that. But it was even worse. What's even worse is that a female fan was injured in this during the same game. Daisy Behringer says she was kicked and punched by another fan. The 36-year-old says she's seen violence at both home games and preseason this year. Oh, so they out there getting ratchet. They don't care what it is. You already see how they talking to Kaepernick all greasy on Twitter.
Oh, let's not even talk about that. They're going in on him, and I think he's getting a raw deal, but still, like I said, those guys, the West Coast, if it's either San Francisco or it's either the Raiders. Them guys be going in on their players, and sometimes they be going in on each other because they just go crazy. I don't understand it, man. It says right here, I don't know why, but it just says right here she was punched and kicked by another 49ers fan, and I guess the way it looked like he just urinated in the car. I guess I don't know how he did that, but that's what happened.
That's a crazy situation.
Yeah,
I'm going to definitely try to keep posted. I want to keep tabs on that situation because I don't see fan ratchetness going down anytime soon.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we didn't even talk about this, but this is a story. As another story that kind of leads into this. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be giving out free beer at their home games.
Anything to get anybody in the stands. What can you do? Nobody's coming to the game unless you bring Tim Tebow out there, because Tim Tebow's the home favorite. They'll just go see him just because. But
think about it. You're giving out beer at the home game, and you already hear about this fan ratchetness is going on right now. I don't think that's a good idea. What they should have did? They should have gave out Coca-Cola.
Well, just think. We're talking about Jacksonville compared to San Francisco. I know alcohol is always a bad mix with fans. I understand that, but
alcohol, hot weather, and N-words. Maybe. And that don't just apply to black folks.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, I know. So, but I'm just saying, for what it's worth, Jacksonville, I think they have more confidence in their fans to say, "Hey, we're going to do this for you guys, and come out and have a good time." Good one. That they wouldn't promote that offer. They won't do that in San Francisco. They wouldn't do that in Oakland. They won't do that at the Giants or Jets game. They won't do that at a Philly game. And they may not want to do that at a I'm trying to think what else is a crazy house. Maybe at a Baltimore maybe at a Baltimore Ravens game. They might not want to do because those fans are wild. So
look, I'd rather have a set of rowdy fans than some fair weather fans. Sometimes you just gotta keep the heat on you. But anyway, let's go to the next. Let's go to this Monday Night Football recap.
Okay.
We already know the Denver Broncos put it on the Oakland Raiders. It wasn't It wasn't really a competitive game after the first half. But what I said last week, well, not last week, on our last show about Terrell Pryor and that young team seemed to kind of came true because they played hard the whole game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, even though, like I said, you have a guy who pretty much was a winner in college that didn't really get a fair shake because he was suspended when he first came in the league. But now he's in, and he got the starting job over Matt Flynn. God, he just can't catch a break. Everywhere he goes, somebody's taking this job. But anyway, he comes out, and, he puts out a pretty decent offering. It wasn't bad at all. He was 19 for 28 for 281. One touchdown, no interceptions. His passer rating was 112.4. You couldn't ask for more than that.
No, and he's overcoming that terrible offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about the offensive line that's terrible. They couldn't even get Darren McFadden going. He had 12 rushes for 9 yards.
Yeah,
that's just outright terrible.
Yeah, he didn't get his touchdown, I think, until the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a garbage touchdown.
Yeah, and that one was he had
1 yard scamper.
Yeah, it was like a 1 yard touchdown. So it wasn't like too much of nothing. I don't know what to make of it. They need to. I think they're going in the right direction if they hold on to what they have, and if they try to put other pieces together that will fit. But we're talking about the Oakland Raiders. As much as that team looks. If you look at the team, the black and silver. They look like a football team, but they don't play like a football team. They
haven't played like a football team in years. But they have some really good bright spots. DJ Hayden, he played really well. I think Nick Roach is the linebacker's name. He's out there putting some work in.
True.
And you still got Marcel Reese, who's probably one of my favorite fullbacks in the league because he just does it all. Terrell Pryor, I really think Terrell Pryor is going to end up being a lot better player than people give him credit for. Right now, it seems like people just like you listen to other pundits. They're trying to just say that Terrell Pryor is he's okay for what he is, but I think he's going to be a lot better player than what he's being labeled as because you can tell from when he first got picked up and even last year when he played. This year he's doing the work in the film room, and that's really significant for that team because they got somebody that's willing to to dedicate themselves to becoming a better player.
Yeah,
and that's something that they didn't have before. Not even with Carson Palmer, who just seemed content on showing up.
Yeah, that's all he wanted to do. He just wanted to get out of Cincinnati, and he just showed up. He thought he was good, but we'll see. It all depends on what they're going to put around. It's all going to follow about what they put around this team going forward because they always had decent draft picks, but they just didn't have enough to get over that hump. They always had great players. They didn't have scrubs. They never had scrubs. They just didn't have nothing to gel. So.
No. They seem like they're building the right way. They're building through the draft. They're keeping some of the younger talent, and they're trying to build around that. And I think maybe in 2 or 3 years that you'll see this team really contending. Hopefully, if they keep these pieces together, that's how it'll develop.
Right. So,
also. I didn't want to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
We need to talk about Denver and how right now they seem like they're playing like the best team in the league.
Oh, that's no doubt. Right now I cannot deny that. These guys look like they're really on point. You got Peyton Manning playing like, he's ready to take the MVP, the most the top quarterback, the most improved player. He won all.
He won everything.
He won everything. That's the way it's looking like right now. Like that's what he's going for. So I can't dispute whatever's going on with that team. I can't.
You know what's good though? They're doing all this without a significant running game.
That is true.
They're doing all this without a significant running game because pretty much the running game is by committee with Noshawn Marino and Monty Ball.
Right. Exactly.
But it's actually helping them out with that running back by committee because those two guys kind of complement each other for the most part. And because Noshawn Marino, even though he's not that big, he's willing to put his head down. He's willing to put his head down a little bit, try to and catch it, and he's able to catch the ball at the backfield. Monty Ball is actually able to. He's able to run. He is able to actually get some significant carries when they need it. That's what it seems like from when I was watching the game. Um, other than that, their defense might suffer a little bit because they still don't have Champ Bailey, and we
Right.
already know about the dummy. We already know about the dummy linebacker that they got.
Yeah, let's not even go there because I mean, it's based on what he done recently, trying to cheat the system. Really?
Yeah,
I mean, he's
that's what
lucky.
I said.
Yeah, he's lucky he's not suspended for the year. Because I mean, if Roger Goodell was like Roger Goodell 2-3 years ago, he'd have been out of here.
Yeah, Roger Goodell, like, sit him down somewhere.
Yeah, but it's
Tell
like,
him to sit down somewhere
yeah,
because he would have never played this year.
yeah. I mean, I think Roger Goodell got a little light. I mean, to a degree, I think it's okay. But I mean, stuff like that, just on stupidity alone, you deserve to go sit down somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Because, but the surprise player that I'm actually happy for is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
Yeah, he's looking really good. He's looking real good. And it's good.
I think-
It's good for him to be on a winning team because all that talent shouldn't have to go to waste to be on a loser team all your career.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He's playing like the player everybody thought he was going to play as. And when they get back Champ Bailey, they're going to be dangerous. Be very, very dangerous.
Oh yeah. Especially if they get him back, and I don't know how they're going to play with Champ because Champ could probably get into a role somewhere like Charles Woodson where he could play safety. Because I mean, I know he's a little older now, so he may need that little cushion now to play safety. I'm not sure if they was put him back in cornerback, but hey, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Champ Bailey, he could be that gifted just to go out and just play that cover.
They can put him back at cornerback as long as he doesn't run into Torrey Smith. But they can put him back at cornerback.
Exactly.
But let's touch on some of these key games before we talk about the Thursday night game.
Yeah, because I mean, we got a few games we want to talk about. Yeah, great.
We got Denver versus Philadelphia. And Miami versus New Orleans, New England versus ATL, which I know you want to talk about that game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got a few choice of words about that game.
Chicago versus Detroit, and of course the Thursday night game. So which one you want to touch on first?
Pretty much I want to talk about the Philly game because that one kind of intrigues me because I don't know which way this is going to go because I know Peyton Manning's on a hot streak, but he's going in a hostile environment. So I mean, I don't know which way this game will go. I know a lot of people are going to tend to go up against Philly and say that, hey, Peyton Manning's on fire, that's all they need, but that crowd could be behind Philly, and if they get on a roll, we might have a much closer game. I'm not saying that Philly can pull out a win, but we might have a lot closer game than most people think, and it may be closer to the point where they can. I give them maybe 30 to 40% chance that they could pull it out.
Well, all right. Well, how I feel about the game because I am an Eagles fan. I don't see Philly really doing much in this game, to be quite honest with you. And I'm gonna tell you why. The reason that I don't see them doing that much is because that defense stays on the field way too long.
Yeah,
that is true. Way too long. Now, let's say that game starts out in the beginning of the game, like usually how most Philly games have started, other than the Chiefs game in the first half of a shootout. It start out like a shootout. We're going back and forth for scores. But what usually happens is in the second half, the Eagles defense wears out. The Eagles defense is on the field almost 40 minutes a game.
Okay, hold on.
That.
I want to take that back. I do want to apologize. I just found out that the Broncos are at home against the Eagles.
Okay.
So I thought they was going to Philadelphia. So that just throws a wrinkle in everything. I'm gonna be honest.
That's probably the way I read it to you.
Yeah. But I honestly believe that at this point the Eagles don't have a shot. I'm sorry. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think they do. Not in Denver. I don't think so. But
flip flop harder than a Republican.
Yeah. I had to do it. I'm sorry. I had to do it because I mean, these guys, they don't have that backing of the crowd. Because don't get me wrong, Philly. I mean, don't get me wrong. Denver's good, but when they got to go up against a big hostile crowd like in Philly, it's a different game. Like right now, they got Denver a favorite by 8.5, and I understand why because they're at home. I thought it was totally the other way around. I mean,
see, I don't think Philly has. I don't see Philly doing too well, especially in the second half. Like the first half might be close, but that second half, once that defense starts getting worn out, Peyton's going to get surgical, and you just can't stop him when he's like that. You
Right.
just can't. And there's no way that the Eagles is going to be able to make a significant amount of comeback. Like a significant comeback and stop Peyton Manning at the same time because the defense is going to be gassed.
Yeah,
You know,
I can understand that.
this is going to be this game right here is a fantasy game. It's because if you got players in the fantasy team in this like Deshaun Jackson or something like that, then you're good. But if you're looking for your team just to win, it's no way.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next game. We're gonna go with Miami versus New Orleans.
Okay, now with this game right here, Miami, they have surprised. They surprised a lot of people this year because of the fact that they're winning. And the way they beat up, well, I ain't gonna say they beat up, the way they went down the field on my Falcons, it gives me a lot more respect to them. And I think, this may be a close game as well. I think that the New Orleans Saints may pull away in the end, because they are playing in New Orleans, so it might not be as easy, for the Saints, but I think they'll pull away eventually. But that doesn't mean to just sleep on the Dolphins because the Dolphins have proven themselves that they can play a little bit. They're not 3-0 for nothing.
Yeah. So you going with New Orleans?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna be honest. That I think New Orleans will win this one. I say maybe 27-24.
Yeah.
I say 27-24.
That's funny that you said that because I was actually going to give kind of like the same score, but I was going to give it to. I'm actually giving it to Miami.
Okay.
I'm giving it to Miami, and the reason I'm giving it to Miami is because their defense is a lot better than people give them credit for.
Yes, it is.
That defense is a lot better than people give them credit for. They got Grimes back there in the secondary. They have Cameron Wake that can come off the edge and rush. Also, they have some offensive players that can keep up with the New Orleans Saints. They're not going to try to they're not going to do the same explosive type of offense, but you still have Lamar Miller, and hopefully Mike Wiles will actually catch a pass this week.
Yeah, all right.
But they still have Lamar Miller, who's actually a really, really good running back, so they can control the clock.
Yeah,
and,
you
made Ryan
a
Tannehill is not a bad quarterback, man.
Yeah, you made a couple good points. You might be right about that.
I actually have it the other way. I think it's going to be a high scoring game relatively, but I think Miami's defense is going to really lead the way in that game.
Okay, so you got it basically 27-24 the other way around.
Yeah, that's actually that was the exact score I was going to put on because I got it in my notes. I got it right here in my notes. That's the exact score. But let's see. Next game up, the game you definitely want to talk about is the New England Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Now let me tell you about this game right here. like I said in the last show that we had, these Falcons, they're one half team, and they can't get away with that when they're playing against the Patriots. Now don't get me wrong. I feel that the Falcons will jump to an early lead again, but Tom Brady's going to drive down the field when it matters on them again. It happened for the last 5 games with the Falcons. And like I said, I went back with this, and if you haven't caught the last podcast, catch it. But I will tell you, like, it started with the Seattle game. They jumped out to a lead, and they almost lost to Seattle. When they was on the way to the Super Bowl, they one foot into the door to the Super Bowl. They had a 17-0 lead, and they let San Francisco come back. First game of the season, they had a big lead on New Orleans. New Orleans came back. With the Rams, they had a big lead, 21-0 on the Rams. They let the Rams almost beat them, but they ended up winning by 7. And this last game, they was up by 10 or 16 against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins came back and beat them. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't see nothing changing. And I hate to say it because I'm a diehard Falcons fan. I've been a Falcons fan for 20 years. Since 1993. I've been down with this team. I've been when this team was way much worse than what it is. But I gotta call a spade a spade. I'm looking at what's going on, and it's a big game. It's a Sunday night game. It's on a big stage. And I can't see the Falcons pulling this one out. And I hate to say it because I even though they are at home, and I will give them a slight advantage, but I'm thinking that Tom Brady, I won't even say, I would say Tom Brady will go down and drive in the game. They'll win the game, I'll say 27-23, or I will put it where like it'll be 24-30.
Mm. Well, I have look. I'm surprised you said that. Now, I'm really unsurprised you said that because I watched these. I watched the last New England game. The New England Patriots are winning ugly. They're not even winning Tom Brady and they're not even sure if Amendola is even going to be back this week.
Right.
Now I actually have this game. I have it 31-14
Okay. Who?
ATL.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have it 31-14 ATL. And the reason I have it 31-14 ATL is because right now that offense just doesn't have the horses right now. They just don't.
That is true. That is true. But we talking about Tom Brady though.
I understand we talking about Tom Brady, and I'm not hating on him. I'm not even going to throw Tom Brady no shade because every time he came to Philly, he torched us. But I don't see right now their offense, the weapons that he have at his disposal is not there. They're not as potent as they were in years past. Right now, you're not sure if Amendola is going to be there. They're still not sure about the running back situation because their running back is not doing too well. Right now, it's Stephen Ridley. Stephen Ridley is not doing too well. He's not playing like he did last year. They're really missing the other running back they had. I just can't remember his name offhand. But also, they I think they're getting back Gronkowski this week, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're getting back Gronkowski.
Yeah, they're supposed to be getting him back from what I heard.
Yeah, but Gronkowski has been really out for about 2 seasons. Because every time he comes back, he gets hurt.
Yeah, he ended up doing something stupid and hurting himself. You're right.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's going to take him. Maybe it might take him a week or two to get back into the flow of the offense. I think if there's any week to catch the New England Patriots with Atlanta is this week.
Well, I mean, you make a good case because, like I said, with the Atlanta is playing at home, so I do give them that because they're really well at home. So, but I'm thinking about at the end of the game when the game's on the line, and the defense just can't muster up a stop. And Matt Ryan, as much as I love Matt Ryan, he can't find a way to just say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna, I got the killer instinct to shut this down."
Yeah, but right now the Falcons are one of the best pass rushing defenses in the league.
They have been doing well. Yes, they have.
I mean, I can't really go against that. I mean, even though they have had their issues in the second half, I mean, they've given people significant problems with the pass rush. Ocean has been a really good pickup for the Falcons this year.
No, I was saying, yeah, I mean, no doubt. They really have. I mean, he had a touchdown. He had an interception and a touchdown for the oh goodness, I done lost my train of thought. For the Rams game, he did have that, and then he had a couple of sacks in the Dolphins game. So I mean, he has been pulling his weight. To be honest, I can make a case where I think he's been doing a little bit better than John Abraham has when John Abraham was there. But
John Abraham's getting older, but right now I think he's a good compliment at least. And it's always fun to watch Ocean stumble and bumble into the end zone.
That is true.
But the next game is the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Now this game. I have not even made a pick on this game yet because of the Lions injuries. And the fact that Chicago defense is playing extremely well, and their offense isn't playing as well, but their defense is playing extremely well. But last week, Detroit offense came through. So it's kind of, I haven't made a pick. I'm actually hedging right now, and I'm trying to think. I'm thinking it out, but I'm not sure who I'm going to pick.
Well, if you want my opinion, I'm taking the Bears. I'm taking the Bears over the Lions. The Lions have too many injuries. Matthew Stafford still has his issues from time to time. I know Megatron gonna get his numbers, even though they're playing in Detroit. I see the Bears defense is just too good. I don't see the Bears, I don't see the Bears taking over. I don't see the Bears.
You just don't see them taking.
I don't see them falling out. I think the Bears are pretty much going to handle them to a score maybe I'll say 28-14, 28-17. I think they're going to handle them pretty easily.
I don't know. See, all right, I'm leaning towards Detroit, but I'm still not sure because those injury problems are significant. They haven't even gotten a replacement for Nate Burleson, and Nate Burleson's been playing outstanding. And that's even though their defense isn't the best, their offense has been able to keep up with anybody. So I might have to actually go with you with Chicago, but I'm not even gonna lie. But if I make my argument sound like I'm going with Detroit. But I think Chicago's defense plays very well. But if you look at the matchups don't favor Chicago too much. Even though Charles Tillman is a beast, he's an old head beast. He's been hitting dudes with that old man strength. when he's hitting guys with that old man strength with his tackling and his defense on passes. I just don't see him being able to shut down Megatron, even though Megatron didn't even practice that much this week.
Right.
Megatron just shows up in the game and he's here. 200, 6'5", 240. It's just difficult to stop. The only way I can see the Bears winning this game, and hopefully that's how it'll turn out, is if the Bears get a significant pass rush on Stafford. And that's the only way I can see it.
But
because
that's what
they
I'm saying.
pass so much.
Yeah, I agree, but that's what I'm saying. I think they'll be able to, just due to the fact that they're just not that good. I don't think their line is just not that good against Chicago's D. Even though they did lose the defensive tackle, he's out with an ACL injury. I still think the Bears are going to beat them. Like I said, I think they're going to take them 28. I'll give them 17. 28-17.
I don't know. I'm going to go 21-24. It's going to be a field goal game.
Okay.
Field goal game for Chicago. Even though I'm really looking at it's really still difficult. And I don't want to hedge. I already picked it. I'm going to just go ahead and go with it. So we going next we're going to talk about this Thursday night game.
Yeah,
San Francisco 49ers versus the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, as of right now, we're doing a podcast. The game is just starting, as a matter of fact, and it's going to be a pretty interesting game because I know that the 49ers always has been having issues with the Rams, and they're playing in St. Louis. And we already know that the 49ers are already having their struggles. They got pretty much ramrodded by the last two teams they faced. So...
Pause.
Yeah, I'm thinking because, I don't know who to pick. I'm going to say the Rams are going to pull this one out. I think the Rams will beat them 20-17. 20-16, 20-17.
You know what? Honestly, I think it's going to be a defensive game, man. Just out and out, all defense. Because 49ers offense is struggling. They have been on struggle since the first game of the season. After that first game they had against the Packers, they've been on struggle since.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that Colin Kaepernick can get out his slump, because that's the only way this team is going to be able to win that division, because you already see how good Seattle is playing.
Right.
See how good Seattle's playing. You see New Orleans. Like that division is tough. That's one of the best divisions in the league. And the 49ers can't afford to drop another game. This game probably will be their must-win game. Even though a lot of people aren't saying it's their must-win game, to me, in my mind right now, this is their must-win game, because this is one of the teams that played them last year the toughest.
Wow.
They tied them last year, and they beat them. So if they can't beat St. Louis this week, I don't know what they're going to do next week. It's going to be really hard for them to rebound. And plus, they have a lot of things going on, especially with the Alden Smith. This is like the worst time.
Yeah, for the stuff that happened. You're exactly right. Now, that's what I'm saying. As much as I like the 49ers because they're a very talented team, I just think the Rams are more prepared for this game. And it's going to be real interesting as we watch this game tonight and see how it goes. And, go ahead.
Well, Sam Bradford, in order for them to win, Sam Bradford has to stop being Captain Checkdown. He just has to throw the ball. And it's easy to say, but it's going to be hard to do against that defense. But he has to take risk against this defense, or they're going to be in the struggle all night defensively. And I don't see it going no more than maybe a touchdown or two.
Well, I will tell you this. I think that I'm gonna go against what you're saying. I think that he can be Captain Checkdown and still win this game, because I think what it is the Rams defense is going to hold them into this game. They're going to keep him. They're going to keep him in this game. He doesn't have to do anything spectacular on offense to win. I just think, and that's pretty much has been the case the last year when the Rams were playing the 49ers. He never really put up big numbers. He just managed the game, and and the defense pretty much held the 49ers in check. And if the Rams looked at anything that the Colts did when the Colts beat them last week, then they would know what to do. So I mean, I think it just holds. I think just the fact that the 49ers offense has just been missing.
Abysmal.
It's just been abysmal. And I think the Rams defense, especially the way they were able to, just keep up with the Atlanta Falcons offense, I think they will be much better suited to play this game, especially with them being in the comfort of their own home.
Oh man, I'm looking at it because the matchups don't really favor the Niners either, for the most part on the defensive side, for like their offense versus their defense. I mean, even though the St. Louis Rams has been struggling, Anquan Bolton can't separate from anybody. Me and you can go out there and cover Anquan Bolton right now.
Exactly.
I mean, he can't get any separation, and the second wide receiver is really a third. And I just don't. And the only thing I can see them having any hope for is their running game, and hopefully Vernon Davis will start getting open.
Well, I mean, Vernon Davis. Let's be honest. That's their true. That's like another wide receiver for them the way they playing. So, I mean, that's how much help they need on the receiver end. But I mean, I hope that they'll get better because, like I said, I like the team, but I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure about it. I think they're gonna be in a little bit of trouble. I think they're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. This is going to be a difficult game. That's why I said this is the game that they have to win. This is the must-win game. This is the team that's gave them all the problems last year, and they have to do something. But let's move on. We're going to talk about the NBA. Okay. Let's get into that because the season's going to start. The season's coming out soon.
Yeah.
NBA 2K, and the NBA 2K is the official start of the basketball season for most people.
Right. That is true.
NBA 2K is dropping on the 1st.
Yep.
I can't give them too much shout out because they don't pay us.
But exactly. They didn't need to pay as much as we be playing the games.
Exactly. They don't pay us no bread. But let's get into some of that NBA news. And this is one story I didn't get a chance to tell you about in the pre-show. But the NBA is considering allowing the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets to wear nicknames on the back of their jerseys during the 4 games that the two teams will play against each other this year.
Oh my God!
And one, my man. And one.
I mean, I'm against it. I mean, I just think it's stupid, personally. I mean, me, if I was a player, I wouldn't partake in it because it just has XFL written all over it. You know what I mean? Like that little cheesy, wannabe, gimmicky type sport. Because do you remember the XFL?
Yeah, would he hate me?
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. It just feels. Nah, it just feels stupid. I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
Oh man, see that's that old head talking. me personally, I want to see that on the back of the jersey. You see KG on the back of on Kevin Garnett's jersey, or Honey Nut Cheerios on the back of Kevin Garnett's jersey. That'd be awesome. But all jokes aside, I think it's actually a good look for the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. When you're talking about fan player relations, yeah. I mean,
I think it's a very good look for the NBA. I think that and plus it gives the players more personality. I mean, honestly, it's not too many nicknames out here for these dudes. You know how back in the day when we was growing up with you had the mailman, you had Sean Kemp being the Rain Man, Gary Payton the Glove. Like it's not too many dudes giving out nicknames.
That is true, but when they had their nicknames, we didn't. It didn't need that. I need to put that on the back of my jersey type thing. It just comes off cheesy that way.
But at that time though, but my point is, at that time, you seen. It was more personality in that, and right now it just doesn't seem like it has that right in the NBA. I mean, it's like players out here they giving themselves their names. Like, come on, man. Nick Young calls himself Swaggy P of all things.
He better not put that on the back of his jersey. I know that much.
I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh at that N word.
Yeah, he better not put that on the back of his jersey. I know that much. I mean, that's a straight up trash. I mean, who does that?
That's what I'm saying. I think this would be like, and plus, it gives the players more exposure, and you'll start getting younger fans involved in it because if you have a child maybe six or under, they might not necessarily know LeBron James, but they'll probably know King James. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that because, like I said, when you're talking about reaching out to more fans, getting more people involved, because if you tell somebody, hey, what you know about Dwayne Wade, I mean, somebody who may not know nothing about basketball be like, okay, Dwayne Wade is Dwayne Wade, but when you tell somebody, hey, what you know about Flash, and if you see this guy on the court and he's actually moving around fast, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's Flash. I can get with that. Compared to just, oh, that's Dwayne Wade. He just run fast. You know what I mean?
You can't even call him Flash no more. You might as well call him moderate.
Hey, let's just leave that to the discussion when we start talking about the NBA on the real. Because I heard he had some good surgery, and I heard he had a good trainer, and there's reports saying that he might go back to his old ways. But that's for another day.
But all right. So we're gonna start an NBA preview, and we're gonna be doing this every podcast, and we're gonna do this by divisions. So this week, this episode, we're gonna do the Atlantic, and first team we starting off with today is the New York Knicks, the Knickerbockers.
Okay.
Last year their record was 54-28. Their key additions were Andre Bargnani, Metta World Peace, Bino Udrih, and Tim Hardaway Jr. was their draft pick. And who they lost was Jason Kidd, Steve Novak, and Chris Copeland. It's not that bad.
Not that bad of a loss, nah. I think that'd be all right with the losses. But the problem with the Knicks is that when playoff time comes, that's my only issue with them. They did pretty decent in the playoffs, but they have the talent. They have the talent to pretty much beat any team that they want. I just don't be seeing it. It just don't come to fruition when they come out and play. And I think that's one of the things that's hindering them. That's been hindering for a while. And especially with, how bad that, well, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that, Carmelo Anthony really wants a ring. He needs to, become a leader and step it up.
Oh, yeah, he needs to pass the ball.
Right, yeah, that too. I mean, just because you're leading the team, you're the leader of the team, don't mean that you take all the shots. Ex Kobe,
Yeah, and there's a couple players that need to step up on that team. I mean, J.R. Smith, he didn't even shoot 45% last year from the field. Shot like 41%. I mean, yeah, he had a good season, but his efficiency was terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
And that got swept under the rug because he was hitting some game-winning shots. He had some big point games. But I don't want you to have like 21 points on 30 shots. I'm cool on that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't need that.
I agree.
Also, I think they need a goon.
Oh, they got that with Metta World Peace. I mean,
nah. Metta World Peace ain't the same type of goon. I need running up the stands, punching dudes in the face, Metta World Peace, aka Ron Artest, if he's gonna be a goon. But they did sign Cole Aldrich, I think this week, so that actually helps them out in the front court because they're going to need that front court presence dealing with other teams like Indiana, which we'll get into in another podcast.
Okay.
But we're going to move on to the next team, which would be the Boston Celtics. Last year, they was 41-40. Key additions were Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Kelly Olynyk is their draft pick, and Marshawn Brooks. And we all know who they lost. They lost Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, talk about the people you losing.
Yeah.
You want my opinion first, or you want to go first? Because
nah, you go ahead and go first. All right.
I mean, if you really want me to go first, they don't stand a chance of making the playoffs. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, they're done already. I mean, I feel so bad for Rajon Rondo because all that talent don't need to be sitting where it has no business sitting where it is. I mean, he needs to get traded. He needs to go to a team that's ready to win. I mean, no. He needs to find somewhere else to go. He really do. I mean, I feel so bad for him, but that team, maybe they're going to be at the bottom of the Atlantic. No, I ain't gonna say they're at the bottom of the Atlantic because Toronto Raptors, yeah, they got that. But
We'll get into them though. But
yeah, we'll get into them. But I mean, I can make a case where that's gonna be a toss up between who's gonna be at the bottom.
ah man, well the views and opinions of virtual footballer is virtual footballers alone and his alone.
So what you think? So what you think about these Celtics? I don't think they're going anywhere.
All right, now I'm not going to go as hard, but they aren't going to be any good. That's just you have to. If you look at the roster and how the roster breaks down, I know some people that we both know at the same. We both know is going to have an issue with this, but their roster is nothing but guard heavy.
Yeah,
They're very, very guard heavy. They don't have too many big men. Even though I like Kelly Olynyk, he played awesome in the summer league. He played a lot better than people gave him credit for. I think that's a sleeper pick that the Boston Celtics was able to get to snatch away. But I don't think he's going to be ready this year. He'll probably be ready in 2 or 3 years because he has to get his strength up to play in the league. But they don't. They have their guards. They still have Jordan Crawford, who is an admitted gunner. I don't think he's going to help them out. And Rajon Rondo, I don't see him being that motivated to make this team win. And honestly, even if they won, let's say that they made it to the playoffs, that doesn't really help the team at this point because they need to rebuild.
yeah.
They can't rebuild around this team. Gerald Wallace only averaged 7 points last year and completely lost all kind of touch on his shot. You might as well just gave him a brick and told him to shoot it because he couldn't hit anything. He couldn't hit the bottom of the ocean if he was at the standing at the bottom of it. He couldn't do nothing. It was really, really bad season for him. Chris Humphries is an okay player, but I don't think he's going to be the guy that they're going to keep around for the long term.
Oh no, nah,
Yeah.
no. Chris Humphries, I'll see him out of there shortly.
Well, the former Mr. Kim Kardashian is he's okay, but I mean I wouldn't build around him. I definitely want to build around Kelly, and Marshawn Brooks. I would want to keep him.
Marshawn Brooks looks pretty good. If you want to build, you're looking at Marshawn Brooks, maybe Wallace. You're looking at Rondo and Bradley.
I wouldn't even put Wallace. I'd be trying to cut ties with Wallace because
he is expensive, so.
Yeah, they did all these moves and got rid of all these players, and they still didn't even get under the cap.
That's what I'm saying, because he is expensive, but he can play, but he's just expensive. So I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so they need to go ahead and just make a decision whether they're going to blow this team up or they're going to take some of these assets and try to get a player that'll help them get to the playoffs. If they can make a trade by the trade deadline, then they can make the playoffs if they get a significant player. I mean, they still have Jeff Green, but they need to get another significant piece to help them out.
Right.
If not, they need to go ahead and try to get rid of some of these assets and just blow the team up. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs irregardless. The next team up is the Brooklyn Nets. They were 49-33 last season. Key additions, we all know who the key additions was in that highway robbery of a trade. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and of course, the Russian connection of Andrei Kirilenko signing for next to nothing and a peanut. And they signed Mason Plumlee as their draft pick.
Okay, now let's think about this. I think the Brooklyn Nets are in pretty good shape to win now, but I can't necessarily say it was a highway robbery of a trade because they got 3 first-rounders. Now, whoever worth that is, I mean, we'll see down the road because, their picks aren't necessarily like the NFL. But so I don't think that it was that big. I think it was nearly a fair trade if you're looking at a team trying to rebuild. So I think the Celtics left with something that's fairly decent. But there's still no mistake about the Nets that are going to be a pretty decent team. I can make a case for this. They could be at the top of the Atlantic easily. I don't see no other team that can really take them out. The Knicks may be the next best team that can do it, but I don't see it happening. I see them at the top of the Atlantic easily. Possibly depends on the health of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and the way Deron Williams and Joe Johnson play. They can possibly, and I can say it now, they could possibly give the Heat a run for their money because they have a lot of experience and talent up against, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. I mean, outside of that, you don't have anybody else, to be honest with you. I mean, Greg Oden, or For Mario Chalmers, maybe, but Deron Williams will run circles around Chalmers. So I think the Heat still at the top right now, but as far as the Atlantic goes, there's no question that the Nets got that.
You know, I think that this team is actually going to make a deep run, but the problem is they're going to run into Indiana, and I think Indiana is going to really give them some problems.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about the Central,
with their length,
if you talk about the Central, yes, but I was just saying, talking about that division.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into Indiana, but I'm just like, how I feel right now, that I think Indiana's going to give them some problems. Now, this team is going to be based off of, can Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett make it through another 82-game season? Now, I don't think they're going to play that much during the regular season. Hopefully not, because they did re-sign Andre Blatch for to give Kevin Garnett some days off.
Right.
But you still have that rookie coach in Jason Kidd, who is unproven, and if he can finally get Darren Williams to play as an all-star caliber point guard like he used to be, and he was actually arguably number one. People's arguing that he's the best point guard in the league. They have the best shot of beating the Heat. But I'm not sure how this team is going to gel together, because this team right now, like you said, is built to win. And if they don't, they put all their chips on the table. This team is built to win right now. And if they don't win right now, where are they left at?
Yeah, to me, I feel like this is a 1 year and done. It's one and done.
Exactly.
Because after this 1 year, that's it.
Yeah, because where are they going to be left at? Because I don't see, like, Kevin Garnett could possibly retire at the end of the season. Paul Pierce might have come back one more year, but if you're not going to have KG, why would you want to keep Paul Pierce? He might end up being trade big. And Jason Terry, I think Jason Terry's just done. He's no more than really a spot of three-point shooter, and he didn't even do that well last year.
I don't think Jason Terry's done because of the fact that he's only a three-point shooter. He doesn't have to go through the wear and tear of actually trying to be something that he's not as far as a scorer. If you need somebody a spot up shooter, I mean, he's always to have a place on a team. I mean, look at Robert Horry. I mean, you can look at him right now. You can look at him back then or right now. I mean, he was never fit to run up the court for anybody. But if you just need like 4 or 5, maybe 10 minutes off the bench to shoot 2 or 3 3-pointers, I mean, that's your man. So, but
I guess. I mean, I from what I seen last year, it just looked like he was done.
Yeah.
But you could be right.
I mean, but if you're trying to look for somebody to, fill in a void to score, like be an outright scorer, now, as far as him being on the Brooklyn Nets, he fits in perfectly because they don't need him to actually score. I mean, you got Joe Johnson, you got Deron Williams. I mean, you have some players there that actually can pull the weight much better than he can.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
we'll see about this team. And before we get into the last two teams of the division, we're going to talk about two news topics that was worthy of discussion, and that is, first up, we'll talk about Shaq buying minority ownership in the Sacramento Kings. I know you have a lot to say about this.
I mean, it's funny to me because at one point he used to call the Kings the Sacramento Queens, but it's funny how he decides to take on part ownership of this team when he has so much bad blood. But as far as that, I think it's a good move because it makes Sacramento somewhat relevant because people love Shaq and Shaq loves basketball. But my only thing is, if he's going to be part owner, he's going to want to win. And if he's going to want to win, he's going to have to talk to one Demarcus Cousins. And with him and Demarcus Cousins, I don't know how that's going to play out because I know Shaq is a little headstrong and Demarcus Cousins is a knucklehead. So I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, if he wants to win, if he wants to learn how to play the game, a much better way, that's the guy he needs to listen to.
Oh man, you being PC about DeMarcus Cousins right now. You being real PC about DeMarcus Cousins. We talked about this story before. You was going in on DeMarcus Cousins.
But I'm being real though. I mean, that's the only way. He's going to have to listen because if he don't, I mean, I already think if you want me to be truthful, which I already am, but I'm gonna go in more in depth. The dude's he's a bust to me. I mean, dude. I mean,
see, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna be real. I don't think the dude. I mean, why do you think when he wanted to leave Sacramento, nobody picked him up? I mean, nobody wants to do. I mean, I'm just talking about from a mental aspect. Physically, I don't think he's there. But if he really wants to get over the hump, he needs to listen to Shaq to learn how to play some basketball, or Shaq just gonna be wasting his time being part owner of that team.
Oh man. Well, all right. Well, my opinion about this is it's a great PR move.
Okay.
It's an excellent PR move.
I agree.
Shaq is probably as far as NBA players go, Shaq is probably one of the best PR people in the league that ever played, besides Michael Jordan. But even Michael Jordan didn't do some of the things that Shaq has done, because Shaq has done a lot just out of his own ingenuity.
Well, outside of basketball, once you talk about outside of Jordan the player, Jordan's been terrible when it comes to being a GM, being an owner.
Oh man,
doing anything else outside of basketball other than being on the court.
That's a conversation that we're gonna have when we get to that division, because Lord have mercy, I got something to say about the Charlotte Hornets this year. But but to go back to what I was saying, I think now if this will work if DeMarcus Cousins actually listens, because from what I read, Shaq has already met with the coaches.
Yeah,
he's met with DeMarcus Cousins, had a dinner with DeMarcus Cousins. Now, it all depends on how much he can get through to DeMarcus Cousins, because DeMarcus Cousins has all the skills. And he can rebound. He can rebound. He can shoot. He can actually shoot outside of 15 feet.
That's true.
And he has really, really good footwork for a big man, which is key. And I just think if he can finally get his mental right, he's a perennial all-star.
Yeah, I just think his mental just outweighs his actual talent. It gets in the way of his own talent. I'm not saying that, because that's what makes him a scrub to me. It's not the fact that I'm not saying that he don't have talent. It's just the fact that what he does with it and how he possesses his own mental capabilities on the field. Because sometimes he comes off as a brat, and that's why I'm like,
you calling him a mental midget?
Pretty much. Because when things don't go right, he sit there and pouts. He wants his way. You can't get it. You're not going to get it done like that.
Yeah, I can agree with you on
that's
that.
Why I'm saying he needs to listen to what Shaq's saying, because if you don't, that's a wrap. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, I can agree with you. The next story is Paul George signs a 5-year extension with the Indiana Pacers. Contract is worth $80 million, but can increase to $90 million if he makes the All-Star team or wins the MVP award. Also, the contract can increase if he makes the NBA All-NBA third team.
Okay.
So it's incentive based. It's 5 years. He's getting the same amount of money as John Wall, who I think really I don't think deserved that money, but he's still getting the same amount of money as John Wall. I just want to know what you think. Do you think he's worth that contract?
They basically giving him this contract based off his performance in the playoffs. Throughout the season, he wasn't all the way there. He averaged what 16? 17 a game. That doesn't warrant a max contract. I'm sorry. But was this his last year of the contract? I'm not 100% sure.
It was last year's contract.
They were kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. Where you want him to go? If you're going to lose him for nothing if you don't sign him. So it was kind of like, let's get him now, or we're not going to get him at all, because that like I said, that playoff run alone, another team would have gave him that contract. And that's one thing I don't agree with. That's kind of like what Joe Flacco went through. He was hot in the playoffs and he got that big contract. But if you look at the totality of their work, do they deserve it? I can make a big case where they don't, but
yeah. This reminds me of the Andre Iguodala contract situation.
Okay,
because,
true.
Andre Iguodala demanded a max contract. He ended up getting it, but his numbers never warranted a max deal. He's an excellent defender, and he has some aspects to his game that makes him a good player, but he's not a max contract guy. This contract here, I think this contract is made more out of potential than his actual play right now, because in his first year in the league, 10 points, even though he averaged 10 points, but he was kind of playing less minutes. But his next year in the league, he averaged 17 points. His average ballooned to 19 points in the playoffs, but I don't know if he's going to be able to match those totals during the season,
right? Because
they're bringing back Danny Granger. That team's going to have Danny Granger back, so they're going to be and Danny Granger likes to shoot a lot, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to get those kind of stats unless he has a very efficient game.
Exactly, and I didn't even think about that when you did mention Danny Granger. Now you're talking about a situation where he's not, going to be the focal point, or maybe he is the focal point, and it's going to be a problem that he is the focal point because now you have Danny Granger coming back thinking that he was the focal point all along. Now that's not the case. So, yeah, that's something to really think about when you look at the whole totality of this contract and where does it fit, where do Paul George really fit, or where do Danny Granger fit? Because now you're looking at two people that's possibly going to bump heads now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I mean, they didn't have a choice but to give him the contract because the way the NBA contracts are structured, it's just they didn't really have much of a choice but to give him this contract. But that brings me to the bigger point of the way these contracts are made. If you don't give these guys that max deal, they would easily walk. Because John Wall didn't deserve the same type of contract. Based on his play, in his draft position, but he's going to get that $80 million. And I don't know, and that's based on potential. I personally don't like paying guys on potential.
Right. I understand when people pay on potential because they know that they're going to get, if they truly feel that this person's going to perform, they're going to get their money's worth. I.e., look at James Harden. Now, exactly. When you try to pay somebody based on what they've done, you're going to have a situation like Iguodala. So it's kind of like, I don't know. But I can't get mad at either one for, paying a person either way because I look at both sides. But if you want my personal opinion, I would like side with paying somebody based on a potential. Because I don't want to pay somebody based on what they done. They get fat and rich and don't do nothing afterwards. How many times?
Baron Davis.
Yeah. How many times we've seen somebody get rich? They do. I'll put it like this: how many people you've seen done something great on that contract year, and then because the contract year is up, but once they sign, they don't do nothing based on what they did the year before.
Shots fired at Baron Davis.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where
I understand where you're coming from with that. Yeah, so let's get back into these teams. The next team up is going to be 76ers. Oh. So if I sound like that, you'll understand. If anybody in Philadelphia is listening to this, understands why. We were 34-48 last season. Key additions is Nerlens Noel, Michael Carter-Williams, Royce White, James Anderson, and Darius Morris. Key losses is Andrew Bynum, Drew Holiday, and Nick Young, a.k.a. Swaggy P.
Oh, God. Why you had to keep saying that?
Hey, man, that's what he call himself.
He need to be the only person that call himself that.
But all right. And also the head coach, Brett Brown, is another addition that they had. I'll lead on this, but...
Yeah, that's your team. I want you to.
This team is gonna suck. I can't be nice about it anyway. They're gonna suck. Nerlens Noel possibly might not even play this season.
No, that sucks because I actually was looking forward to him playing.
It's a possibility. They're still going. They said his knee's doing okay, but they might hold him out as a precaution. It might not even be his choice. Unlike the Andrew Fat Bynum situation, which I'll get into. But they might not play him. It's a possibility. Uh-huh. Michael Carter-Williams he has potential, but if you watch the summer league play was terrible. Okay. He had no shot. I think he averaged like 31% from the field. It was horrible.
Okay.
Horrible shooting. He can't run a half court offense. Like he's very, very raw. James Anderson is probably their best pickup because he already has a rapport with Brett Brown, the head coach, because he played for him in San Antonio. And Darius Morris, I don't know. He's just Darius Morris. I don't see him being anything more than a role player for the team.
Yeah. So you're looking at one of the teams that's probably in the middle of the road. They're definitely rebuilding.
They're not even middle of the road. They're going to be in the bottom of the. They're going to be the bottom of the NBA.
You think they're going to be that bad?
Yeah, I think they're going to be in the bottom.
I think the only reason why you can say that because they lost their coach. That was a damn good coach y'all had, and to lose him, that does kind of suck. So,
well, Doug Collins burns out everybody, man. I mean, everywhere he goes, he just burns people out. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his personality or his coaching style, but he burns out everybody.
With him, he expects the best out of you, and he pushes everybody. He pushes everybody to the point where he pushes himself. And to a fault, that's his detriment. But that's the type of coach. If you really look at it on the surface, that's the type of coach you want. Somebody who will go all out. But then again, you don't want him to go that far all out because, you still want that. You still want a coach to still be around. So
yeah. I mean, this team, this team is going to be they're gearing up. Let's just call it what it is. They're gearing up for the Andrew Wiggins sweepstakes next year.
Could be.
That's what it looks like. They're gearing up for the Andrew Wiggins.
It could be. Well, I mean, I know some other teams that are tanking it. That obviously look like they're tanking it because of that. But that's another discussion because it's in another division. But
yeah, but I mean, this like the way I look at this team, the way it's constructed. I mean, I don't see them keeping Evan Turner at the trade deadline this year. I don't see it right now. Okay. He's in his contract year. I haven't seen anything on the wire about him getting his contract renegotiated. But it doesn't look like they're going to keep him. Thaddeus Young they need to make a decision on whether they're going to start Thaddeus Young or they're going to keep him on the bench as a sixth man. I personally think they need to start him.
I agree.
Because he's probably one of their better players on the team. And they lost too many pieces. I mean, they traded their best player for a guy that's not even going to play this year, possibly might not play this year.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how that helped this team out as far as them making the next step, but because they basically look like they just say, all right, we're just gonna scrap the whole thing. The only good sign I see that might be a sleeper pickup is Royce White.
Yeah. Okay.
Royce White probably will be the guy if he gets his head right. He'll probably be one of those guys that the Sixers took a low risk on, but have a really really big reward because Royce White is very very good.
Yes, that is true.
When he's actually
playing.
Yeah, when he's actually playing, he doesn't have his head in the clouds for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Yeah, you are right about that. I can agree. He is actually pretty good.
Yeah. And there, Andrew Bynum. What's to say about Andrew Bynum? The man hurt his knee bowling. I don't understand Andrew Bynum.
No, I'm not even gonna talk about that one now. That dude, he's such a disappointment, man. Because he could be so good.
Oh, you go ahead, tell him why you mad. Son.
I mean, it's not even. I'm not even mad at him. It's just disappointed. I mean,
but you hear the frustration in his voice, people.
It's
just Andrew Bynum shade in there.
I mean, it's just. I mean, the dude is so well. I mean, he did. It's not the fact that the injuries, because injuries happen to people. He has bad knees. I understand that. It's just that the immaturity not to try to get better. He just doesn't try. It's just like he knows that he's messed up, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna sit back and get paid. You know what I mean? He didn't play not one game for your Philadelphia 76ers, and that's just alarming. And then he comes up there with the goofy looking haircuts. I mean, the dude. I mean, he's terrible. I feel sorry for Cleveland. I'll be honest, I do. I mean, Kyrie Irving don't deserve that. He don't.
I can't wait until we get to that division.
Yeah, I mean, he don't deserve that. I mean, because he just got to prove me wrong. I mean, because there's already reports out. There are reports saying that there's no timetable in his return. I mean, okay, when did he start? So I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I mean,
yeah, it's the saga, man. It's trying to catch the big man at his best, and he just don't care. It's a saga, and it's like maybe we can get him this year, and he'll play for us, and then He'll sit back in his chair and you look at it, how much money he make. You're like, you know what? I'm good on this.
Exactly.
I'm a chill. But we can't even get into that. We're gonna get into that next show. We're gonna get into that when we get to that division.
Man. So I mean, if you want to talk to pretty much. If you want to talk about the Toronto Raptors, have at it. I have no words for them. They got a little bit of talent. I like I like DeRozan, but. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, man. I think Toronto's going to be actually a lot better than people give them credit for.
They're not making playoffs.
Oh, well, no. They're not making playoffs.
They may win 35 games.
Well, they won 34 games last year.
Oh, well,
Well, let me run down who they got.
yeah, I mean, they may win 35. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to advance no further than what they are.
Well, we're gonna go to the Toronto Raptors, man. 34-48 was their last year's record, and they had the key additions of Tyler Hansbrough, DJ Augustine, Austin Day, and Steve Novak.
Okay.
Subtractions is Andrea Turnstile Bargnani, Linus Kleza, and Marcus Camby. Sorry,
Marcus Camby, he's still playing?
Well, old head gotta get his bread.
Dude's
man.
like 40, man.
Hey, listen. He got that old man strength, and you can't discount old man strength.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. You ain't backing him. You ain't backing him down.
Exactly. Demarcus Camby, his game has devolved into all elbows. Like the old man you see playing at the park, they give you nothing but elbows.
You can't.
You all elbows and knees.
You can't do nothing about it.
Can't do nothing. He keep making that bullshit. He keep making that BS hook.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't stop.
You can't stop it. You can't stop no matter what. You can't stop. He got you every time.
That's Marcus Camby right there. But I think they might actually go 40. They might actually win 40 games this year. Because if you look at the Boston Celtics in the division, the Boston Celtics aren't that good. They're going to have Rudy Gay for the whole season. And they got Rudy Gay. They got DeRozan. They also got Terrence Ross still.
Okay. Terrence Ross can ball. I'll give him that.
Yeah, Terrence Ross. Still got Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
And they bring in DJ Augustine. I think they can win 40 games. Probably they can win 40 games this year, and it's going to be a lot of teams to sleep on this year. I think they can possibly win 40.
I could probably give you that. I could probably give you the 40 games. I can give you that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't look at them as bad as other people are looking at them right now. I think this team can really come together. They might have to move a couple pieces because that backcourt is a little clogged up. They might end up having to trade Terrence Ross or somebody else, but they might have to make a couple moves. But I think this team is actually put together pretty solidly because they have some pretty. You still got Mary Johnson coming back, and he's going to be paired up with Tyler Hansbrough, Jonas Valanciunas. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
That's how.
And he did pretty well last season, and I think he's going to do a lot better. He's pretty underrated. So I think the Raptors is going to be a lot better than people give them credit for.
Okay. I can give you that.
And we're gonna wind this show down. We're gonna get into this last news story, and it's the first news story of mine that I really wanted to touch on. It's the former defensive end and All-Pro player and former ESPN analyst Hugh Douglas arrested for a fight involving himself and his girlfriend. I found out who the woman was. And his girlfriend at a Marriott hotel in Connecticut. Douglas was arrested for grabbing the woman by her neck and slammed her into several walls. This was the deposition that was read out in the court. So, and then what makes this worse is this is the second incident Douglas had in just over a month before, and because he got fired from ESPN for calling Michael Smith.
Yeah. Let's just say he called him a racial slur, a couple of them.
I'm gonna say what he called him. He called that man an Uncle Tom.
Okay.
And a house nigga.
Yeah.
And I don't like to use that word on air, but that's what he called it. So
okay. At least you're quoting him, so it's not like you're going against the grain. So.
Yeah. So that's what he called him, and I want you to get your thoughts on that before I talk about this, man.
It's just a bad week for him, man. Do I condone anything that he said about Michael Smith? No, I don't. I think it's terrible. I think it's unfortunate. I mean, you had two guys who actually, I thought at one point, who could work together, but apparently they can't. Sounds like he could be a little bit jealous of him. It's just unfortunate because I mean they did do well together as far as I saw when I did watch that show, but excuse me, neither here or there. But as far as what he did to that woman, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. I mean, it's just with him, it's just been a bad month for him. He either like he went from, on top of the world of ESPN to the unemployment line, and I don't think anybody's gonna hire him if he went to another station or he went to another. I don't see nobody hiring him no time soon. So I just think it's unfortunate. I mean, I actually like the dude that I think he's pretty cool, but it's just unfortunate that he had to go through what he done.
All right. Well, this is what I have to say about this situation.
Yeah, I know you guys. I know you. No.
Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you, Hugh, Mr. Douglas. The problem I have with him, and the problem I have with Mr. Douglas is the fact of the matter is he's a nigga, and I hate to say it like that.
That is true.
He's a nigga, and the reason I call him that is because you grabbed the woman by her neck, you slammed her in the wall several times, and then tried to blame it on rough sex. And when I read the report, the first thing that went to my mind was,
what's that?
Nigga, for real? That's what we gonna do? That's the equivalent of saying that you got hacked on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you're acting like he's acting like a nigger, and then the fact of the matter is he gonna call Michael Smith a house nigga.
Like who?
Oh, Uncle Tom.
Yeah, like who?
And because he doesn't act like you, Mr. Douglas. That's how I look at it. And because he doesn't go around beating up on women and calling other people Negroes because they don't act like you. I don't understand that. And it really pissed me off when I actually heard this, because the fact of the matter is he played in the Philadelphia for 10 long seasons and he didn't have any kind of incident like this. And it makes you wonder, what was the things that went on behind the scenes that we didn't hear about? Because problems like this just don't come up out of nowhere.
You know what? You made a valid point. And for me to think how well they work together, actually making me think, secondly about that, because you're right. It could have been a bigger issue.
Yeah, issues like this don't, just come out of nowhere. People just don't all of a sudden just go. And what made it worse is he called Michael Smith the names that he called him at a black journalist convention.
Out of all places.
Out of all places. And you know what the problem is? And the big reason I have the problem with Hugh Douglas right now, and I think he's getting everything that's deserved to him right in this second, is because it's not too many black people in the media right now.
Right, that's true.
It's just not. And for Michael Smith, who actually, I've seen him come up through the ranks and make some of the stuff to where he got his own show, it's insulting. It's very insulting. It's insulting, it's unenlightened, it's downright ignorant. And that's why he's basically being called a nigga, and he needs to get a chair and go sit down somewhere.
Sit all the way down. All the way down.
The way I look at this, he needs to go get some help. Stop lying to these people out here talking about he beat that woman up because he had rough sex with her. Come on, let's come on, dog. Let's just keep it real.
Right, exactly.
Let's just keep it real. The police said she basically had bruises and everything. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the safe word, my man? If that was the case, what was the safe word? But we're gonna actually have to hope that this man gets some help, because for him to do the kind of things that he did and these egregious issues that he had, especially going against another fellow black employee, knowing how hard it is to get a job in the media, and try to degrade him like that in front of other people.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is, and I mean, he should know much better. He should know better. And like I said, I tried to give him a benefit of the doubt because I was like, it's unfortunate, but to understand what you made, the valid points you made, I thought about it, but I really didn't think about it on that level. And you are absolutely right when you talk about the whole situation when it comes to African Americans getting jobs, and the last thing that you need to be is going at another African American about their position at work. Exactly. If anything, you must stick together. If anything, so
it's that Negradian crabs in the barrel thing.
Right, exactly.
We can't get out of each other's way to get ahead.
Exactly, and then they want to point a finger at other races, claiming that the other races are holding them back. Now,
yeah. I'm not, and I don't want to come off. I don't want to come off as sounding, oh well, he's just pro-black or anything like that, because that's not the case. But but to see us to see us go through these type of things on a daily basis, and when you get somebody that actually has made it, and you had a good company job at ESPN, and for him to go screw it up the way he did, it's disappointing, and it makes a lot of us look bad.
Well, I understand that, but let's not go away from the real issue. He lost his job for saying a couple of words, but let's talk about what he actually did with this woman. That's what I was going to get back to. Yeah.
And for him to go back and go into the situation with this female, and then grip the other, and then have this female get, basically assaulted, and then try to blame it on another situation, he didn't even apologize for. He didn't even really apologize for the first situation he had with Michael Smith, and you definitely know he ain't say nothing right now on Twitter since this other issue happened.
Right, exactly.
And right at this point, he needs to sit. He needs to really evaluate his life choices.
Yeah, exactly.
He at this point he was at ESPN. He had a good job, and now you lost it, and you lost it for something stupid. And then you end up going around beating up on your girlfriend. Those are nigga actions, and I don't want to be a nigga. I'd rather be a black person. And we're gonna move on from that.
Yeah, because I mean, that could have jumped into something totally different. Let's back off on that one. Exactly.
We're gonna close out this show, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in this week. And we are definitely going hard at this. We're going to be making some moves. We're trying to get some other things going, and we're going to definitely let you know. You can hit us up on our Twitter. Virtual has his Twitter. He'll let you know about it right now.
Almost definitely is virtual_FBaller. It's at virtual_FBaller. And you can reach me anytime. You can just ask me any questions about the news, sports, video games, anything. I'm always there, so I'll give anybody a shout out if they need it, and I appreciate all the support. And your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is at thekid215. It's DAKIDD215. And you can hit me up anytime, and I'll definitely try to get back to you. We want to hear all your comments, suggestions, questions, even some of the ratchetness that you actually that you've seen on the news yourself.
Right.
And
exactly.
if you want to comment on anything that you heard on this podcast today, whether you disagree with us or agree with us, you can hit us up at our Twitters. You can hit us up on we can hit us up on the comment section. We appreciate it if you click the like button. We'll appreciate it if you just pass this podcast out to other people that you know. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we're always here, so just we'll be here next Tuesday with more stuff. We'll be getting more feedback where we talk about the another division in the NBA.
Yes,
we're going to talk about more these scores and highlights and of what happened in the NFL. We might even throw a little bit of college football and other topics that are in sports, but not necessarily on the field or on the court related. So,
before we go off, do you want to still talk about that situation with the NCAA?
No, we can hold that off because we want to get everything in order. Yeah, let's get everything in order before we do that because that's a breaking news story, and we'll talk on it once we get all the pieces.
You want to cover that?
Yeah, I just don't want to talk off or speculation because that's how a lot of people get misinformation.
I understand. Yeah. So, this is the he threw me off with that, but this is the Sideline to Sideline podcast, and remember. The world is an arena, and we cover everything from sideline to sideline.
From sideline to sideline. You guys take it easy. Peace.
Take it easy.